Hi, my name's Mare Cromwell, and I'm a Gaia mystic and high priestess. And I am here with the amazing Jim Petruzzi, who is the president of the Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother. And we're here right now to really bring forward the Sacred Balance Global Grid, a global grid of ceremonies that's going to be happening to raise up the divine masculine and divine feminine together on March 20th, 2022. And Jim and I have been having some conversations about this deep process of healing into our divine masculine or divine feminine selves. And so this is going to be a conversation sharing from Jim's perspective, and I'll probably add some little bit too of his process, because he's been deep in this work for a long time. So Jim, before we really get into this conversation, would you like to offer a blessing?
Sure. I'll just do a brief one to center us here a little bit. And I'll do this interview or whatever we do here as Jim Spirit Bear, White Spirit Bear, Petruzzi, which is a new name that I was gifted. And I'm moving into bear energy because that's needed with the masculine and feminine. So this is kind of a part of my opening prayer to Creator, God, to Kamsala, universe, whatever label we use. Mare and I are here to discuss the masculine and feminine. And how do we bring them together in harmony and equality and peace? And we ask for guidance as we have this little chat. We ask for all those groups, and there's many out there working on this, to come together. We ask the groups respectfully who are focused on the feminine rising energy, and we ask the male groups who are focused on the male warrior energy to understand that we need to combine those in a good and harmonious way to move ahead, to help to heal the sacred hoop wherever it is broken. All my relations, thank you.
Oh, and if it's okay with you, I would love to call on Mother Gaia,
Please.
Earth Mother, to support us with this right now. Oh, calling out to you, Mother. So much love and gratitude to you. Please bless myself and Jim and all who are listening and will be listening, and all involved with the Sacred Balance Global Grid, and all of your sacred children, two-legged humans on our sacred earth. Please bless us, Mother. Please help us remember that you are calling out for us to reconnect with you and to find our balance between the genders as we move into the oneness, the collective oneness of the new earth coming in. Oh. Okay. All right, so Jim, we've been having some conversations, and anything, I would love to hear your story, because you've been on this journey for a long time. And I know that we talked in our last interview about your native teachers, your Indigenous teachers, and their calling for balance between the masculine and feminine. But I would love to just learn from you as a man what it's been like for you, and hurdles, beautiful moments of healing. It's a big topic. So yeah.
It is a big topic. And yes, we did talk before about how all the prophecies, one of the things they focus on is healing the masculine and feminine, and that we have to do it right now. We cannot afford any more disharmony between the genders. And it's been a central part of my walk for a long time, you're right. Along with connecting with the earth, which you do so beautifully, and which is equally critical. And it's not always easy. It's also about the cultures coming together. But when we start to approach one of these, they all fall into line. If the men and the women can come together and talk, and come together peacefully, and come together and support each other, everything else drops into place. And it hasn't always been easy. And it's hard for each of us. I'm no exception. I walk as a man. My gender identification is masculine. I've worked a lot on my own inner feminine and masculine, which I think we really have to do, each and every one of us. Men have a hard time, many men, of course. I'm generalizing, but just so many men have a hard time connecting with their feminine side. They won't even admit that it exists. And yet I've seen also women who don't want to identify with their masculine being inside. If we don't have harmony within ourselves, it's very hard to have harmony with anyone else.
So, can I
yeah,
ask you a question there?
go ahead.
Why is it that men have a hard time identifying with
Yeah.
their inner feminine?
I think there's multiple reasons for that, but I think the biggest is our westernized cultures. That's not how we are brought up. We are told we're men, we're strong, we go do the work, we go do the heavy lifting, we don't show emotion. All those things are pounded into boys who then become men.
Mm-hmm.
Not as intensely maybe as it used to be, but it's still there. I run into young men all the time with those questions. Well, I don't want to admit that I have a feminine side. We're not supposed to show that.
So they're
That's
identifying feminine side as being emotional,
being
soft,
emotional,
sensitive.
soft, sensitive. Yes, there's still a lot of that. Now it is shifting. When I work with the young people, which I do a lot, I see a lot less of this in those that are active. I do see it in a lot of other young people.
Mm-hmm.
But in those who are active, I see these young girls, boys, men and women, these youth working together and ignoring their gender, ignoring their outer appearance, which is beautiful and perfect. That's what we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, yes, there's still too much of that, and that has to go away.
So, can you speak to yourself personally then? And
Sure.
uh, we had a conversation some weeks ago where you were sharing that it's scary for a man to be in the presence, for most men, to be in the presence of a strong woman who's stepping into her feminine power.
Yes. And I have my own problems and issues, some of which I didn't know I had. I had a fairly long-term relationship end recently, and I'm told that I was not able to show love in a way that that person could accept it. And in looking, I see that that's right. She's correct. We both did things we wish we would have done differently. It was a great learning experience. And we go our own ways as friends and probably collaborators. But there was an element missing. And I've worked with a lot of strong women. You're one of them. And it's important to be able to work with a strong woman and for a woman to work with a strong man. And that means respect. We have to respect each other's being, each other's presence, each other's ability to carry whatever medicine is needed at the moment. It's not gender specific. Women are not all soft and loving and there to be just the mothers. Men are not all there to be strong and go out and lift the heavy load and bring in the paycheck.
So what is it that triggers being threatened then around the strong women that you alluded to some before?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that same culture. If men know, as and when men are able to come and connect with the women, the men have to lower their masculine presence. They have to welcome in more of their feminine. They have to drop back. The women have to step it up. Now, we don't want it to stay out of balance either way. That is threatening to a man. He sees that as losing his power. I'm told in past Earths, sometimes the men controlled, sometimes the women controlled. Each time, the one in control felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, yeah, for a man to say, "Oh, I'm going to let a woman be my equal," oh dear, what does that mean? She starts to take my power. The same thing we see in different cultures. What is it that's blocking us from dealing with a person of a different color equally, or a different religion?
Mhm.
It's very similar. It is fear. It's all fear
So
based.
it's fear of losing our power.
Yeah.
Mhm. Power in whatever that dynamic is between that man and that woman.
Yeah, and I think beyond that, it's economic power as well. It's money. The men make a disproportionate percentage of the money across the planet, not just here in our culture.
Right, right.
And some of that has to go away. You know, it's interesting, Mayor, because in the past, um, especially in Native American cultures, but I've seen it in others, two-spirit people were valued. And two-spirit people, meaning that transgender, they were male and female. They were seen as people who could see both sides. They could see from the masculine and the feminine. And so they were honored and respected, and they were asked for opinions
Yeah.
because they could do that. Where in our culture, what have we done? Quite often, we've made that as a mark of disrespect, something not to be accepted.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful
Yeah.
how people within the gay, lesbian,
Yes.
LGBT plus communities
Yes.
are treated. And yet
Hmm.
they do carry a deep wisdom. And a lot of them
Hmm.
are incredibly gifted spiritual people.
Yes.
You know, I would
Hmm.
love for our culture to really wake up and recognize the gifts they bring forward to all of us.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I wanna share a little from, you know, my path and,
Hmm.
you know, because this is a conversation between the two of us is for many, many years, I was very angry at men, the
Hmm.
masculine, and I didn't even realize how angry I was, and I was very afraid of the masculine. Um, and you know, I mean, I acted out in ways that I was so unconscious and hurtful because I wanted to keep them
Hmm.
distant from me, them being the
Hmm.
men. And it wasn't until I started having spontaneous past life memories and then did some healing work with professionals around past life. And so much came forward about how I had been treated in previous lives as a strong woman, showing up, speaking for the divine feminine. And I'm also very aware that I've been a man in numerous past lives and I've done horrendous things in a masculine form. Um, so, you know, this dance of um, coming into balance between ourselves and within ourselves is a journey, and it's a deep journey, and it's an ongoing journey. And I'm grateful that where I am right now in my life, I don't hold that level of rage.
Hmm.
um, but I still have there's like a trigger point in me. If a man tries to tell me what to do, there's this spontaneous trigger point, like, how dare you? You
Hmm.
know, like that power over and even in a
Hmm.
joking way, I just react. So, you know, this is a dance for all of us. And I could go on and on about it. I'm going to
Yeah.
do something here on my YouTube channel in the next week, which is to read an apology to the divine masculine that I wrote when I
Wow.
was writing my second book with Mother Gaia, the Great Mother Bible. And it came forward after hearing a man say to me, a man that I was involved with briefly, how so many men are wounded by the patriarchal system. Because in my limited sense of things prior to hearing that from him, I assumed it was all us women. Women are wounded, we're treated poorly. But he sat across from me and said, Mare, so many of us men are very, very wounded by this system. Is it please share anything that's coming up for you, Jim, with what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. The men also get wounded. This division of who we are supposed to be is destructive on both. As a man, to be told you're not supposed to show emotion, you're supposed to be strong, is very destructive. it's destructive of your health to live that way. Just like with the women hating men is destructive. That's all destructive. And yes, the masculine culture has not done men any favors either. Some it has. I mean, you have those at the top, and that's how they control. And they're used to that energy, and they use it like a weapon. But for the vast majority of men and women, I find we're human beings first. We do connect if we allow ourselves. And that anger can really get in the way. So I really respect anybody who works on that. It's not easy. I'm working now with Call Remembrance, and Corinna Whitefeather and I will be doing a lot of work together. So we'll be releasing more as well, because you're absolutely right. And I love your apology letter to the men. There's been letters of apology going out to women, as there should be. There's been others going out to Indigenous people. And yeah, let's get through that. So we've all apologized to each other, because you're right. In our own personal histories over lifetimes, we've been the aggressor, and we've been the recipient of horrors. Same with whatever our people are. Each people, whether it's men or women or Indigenous people or Jewish people, at times we've been the aggressor, and at times we've been the subject of horrors.
Yeah.
We've got to begin to heal that so we can move ahead.
But again, this aggressor behavior,
Mm-hmm.
I would label as a wounded masculine dynamic, if I may put it out like that. It's that power over, that needing to control, that becomes out of control.
Mm-hmm. And I think for this particular lifetime, I'll go back into Grandmother Fiscus, who was one of my teachers way back when. An amazing woman. She's the one who really started teaching me this in her culture's way. This, we're heading into the fifth earth. Other cultures say this is the sixth earth. And her teachings were that each time we shifted, we went from masculine power to feminine power to masculine. In this particular life, it's all the masculine power and control. She talks about the second earth a lot. When it was the Amazon culture, it was the women who played that role, and it was the men who were subservient. And that caused me to think about things a lot. We're stuck with what we have right now. What we don't want to do is replicate this as we create the new way.
Yeah, because it's not supposed to be one over the other anymore.
No, and it's not sustainable.
No. I mean, there are a lot of women who believe it's time for the goddess to take over. And everything I hear from Mother Gaia is that's not what is meant to happen as the future comes in. It's about the balance, because there's already been so much imbalance on the masculine.
Yep.
So how would it make sense for us to have an imbalance where the feminine is dominating?
Absolutely right. And that is tying into these past learnings, these past prophecies, these last earths. Each time the one that was subservient thought it was time for them to step up and take the power back. And then all it does is shift the aggressor. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
As I work with Whitefeather, we talk about that a lot, and we're making sure we create an equal balance, and everybody we invite in comes in an equal balance. So we can end that. We have to end that. We have to cut that thread. No more of that. You know, I understand it. We all do. Right now, the women have been put down. Okay, I get that. They want to, let's come back and take over. But what have we accomplished? Not much.
Yeah, and the sad thing to me, and I may trigger some people with this, is that when I experience women who feel that it's time for the feminine to take over, I usually sense in them some deep levels of unresolved woundedness, where they haven't been going in within to heal their rage. And it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage to do that inner work. And yet we all need to bring that to the light, the love, the healing. And you know, and I don't, this is going to be out there for a lot of people maybe, but I'm of the mind that the way things got so imbalanced over the past few 5, 6,000 years ago, and I don't know the timelines of the 6 worlds
Mm,
that your teacher talked about, is that we've been so influenced by extraterrestrial beings who have brought the imbalance in and have been teaching our patriarchal culture how to really destroy the planet, you know,
mm,
destroy the forest, contaminate. All of that is such imbalanced perceptions of how, you know, how the earth is meant to be lived on and lived with. And so
mm,
for years now, I've been on of the mind that I can't be angry at the men, most of the men who are alive today, because they were born into a system that got influenced thousands of years ago to go so imbalanced. It's not their fault. It's a question of them waking up. And the same for us women, because there are a lot of, I mean, there's the women married or who are in that 1% who hold a lot of power, a lot of financial, they don't want to see the balance either to a large degree. So there's a massive call here for huge healing and waking up
mhm,
and coming into balance across the board between races, between
mhm.
you know, economic levels and the genders.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And I was on a call a little while ago, and we were having this same or similar discussion. The power is not about masculine and feminine. That's another tool being used by the people who do control the power to keep us fighting amongst ourselves. Just like religion and race and culture, and I mean, we can go on age, we can go on and on and on.
Right, right.
And we have to stop allowing that, which of course is exactly what they fear. Because when we stop that and when we stand together, that's when we change things.
So Jim, we've been chatting for a while and we didn't
Yep,
want this to go too long. So let me
yep, yep.
ask you like a final question.
Okay.
Do you have any words of advice
Mm.
for men and women?
Well, if we had a lot of time, I would repeat all my mistakes so you don't redo them. But we've all done that. I think the primary advice, and we've been talking about it, is start going inside. Look in the mirror. The hardest thing to do in existence is look in the mirror. I mean, really deeply look into yourself and accept you have masculine and feminine energy and realize that's a wonderful gift and a power, not a detriment. And start to understand that and then work with groups, join groups, whether it's yours, whether it's mine, it doesn't matter, whether it's another one out there, where men and women are talking, really talking, not yelling at each other, but legitimately talking and airing the grievances, but talking about it as caring human beings, not as adversaries.
Mhm.
As soon as you start doing that, you start to feel your own pain lift off because you know, and I know, it hurts to carry that. It hurts to carry hatred of men or hatred of women or whatever. That does us no good. It stops our spiritual growth. So work on yourself, find the circles you can be part of, and join in.
Beautiful. And I want to add to that that do this with the most deepest self-love that you can bring forward for yourself,
Yeah.
because we are all beloved, beloved children of Mother Gaia and Creator. And I can feel Mother's energy coming forward right now as I'm saying this. Maybe you feel that, Jim.
I do.
And Mother loves us all, irregardless, unconditionally. And so know how much she is supporting all of us with this huge call for us to do the inner work, come into balance within ourselves, find your support groups, your sacred circles, and then between ourselves, you know, open our hearts out to the others around you, because everyone is coming from a place of woundedness within this culture. The cultural conditioning is so deep. But these are the times of shifting into the new earth, which is coming through in gangbusters now, and just know how much Mother loves all of us. And you, anyone listening to this, she loves you hugely. So any last thoughts, Jim?
I think you just hit it right on the head. Love. Practice love. That is so hard for many people. It was hard for me. At any time now, before we start a meeting of our own or somebody else's, we'll sit there and say, I love you. I had so much trouble doing that. I couldn't say I love myself. So everybody listening, love yourself, love everyone else. Say it. Just say the words. Look somebody in the eye and say it. It's unconditional. And yeah, and move ahead that way. Thank you, Mare. That's a great awareness.
Well, thank you, Jim. So we hope everybody will do ceremony with us on March 20th with the Sacred Balance Global Grid. Please register on the website. It's just a donation-based setup there. And I'm honoring you, Jim, for your path, your wisdom, and loving these conversations with you.
Me
All
too.
right. All right. Hugs and big love to everybody.